I've talked about my middle school and high school experiences before, but I never really got into talking about what took up most of my time back then. And no, it was not ACT prep. That sucked. Dance team. It was being on the dance team. Being on my school's dance team was not what I expected it to be, but not in a bad way. In fact, I'm glad that I ended up making the cut. It turned out to be 5 of the most amazing years of my life that I'll never forget. So, get comfy, grab some popcorn, and let me tell you all about my experience on my school's dance team. But before we get into it, let's do our quick, hey, what you drawing part of the video. The art you're watching me draw in the background is actually artwork of my OCs from my webcomic Outcasts. If you haven't read my webcomic yet, Outcasts follows the story of the Myers children. 4 kids who have been in hiding for years, all because they have magical powers and their beloved ruler, Queen Vanessa, seems to want to erase magic and all who possess it. If that sparked your interest or you want to learn more about the characters, you can come check out my webcomic Outcasts on Tapas and come join my Patreon for exclusive content. Joining my Patreon gets you exclusive content, early access to Outcast comic pages, YouTube videos before they're even released, and lots of other cool stuff. Links to both are in the description. And with that out of the way, let's get into the story. Now, before I get into the story, let's lay down a bit of context. If you've watched my Surviving Middle School Storytime, link in the description by the way, you know that I started attending a private school in the 5th grade all the way back up until I graduated high school. At my private school, girls and guys had the option to try out for sports or extracurricular activities at the end of the 6th grade. That way, when you came in as a 7th grader, you'd already be a part of that club or team. I actually tried out for cheer twice before realizing it just wasn't for me. Luckily, a new opportunity presented itself, our school's dance team. Unlike cheer, I actually had a lot of past experience in ballet and dance in general. You see, I actually started dance classes when I was 4 years old, and that's actually how I met my best childhood friend, who I'm still friends with today. But we'll save that story for another time. So, there's a big difference between dance and cheer tryouts, I realized. While cheer looked for quote-unquote perfection, dance didn't. You couldn't just wing the dance routine, of course, you did have to practice. But as long as the judges could see you had the passion and potential for dance, you were in. So, I tried out at the end of my 7th grade year for the dance team, and I made the cut. And even though I was a newbie and the rest of my friends had been on the team for a year at that point, no one made me feel like an outsider. And to be honest, that was a breath of fresh air. Dance became my 8th period class at my school, which was really nice. We changed into our dance clothes, stretch, and then practiced our routines. Heck, there were even some days where our dance coach would turn off the lights in the dance studio and lead us in exercises to loosen up the tension in our muscles, which felt so nice after a stressful school day. After that, we changed back into our school uniforms, go into the commons area, and go home. And while being on the dance team was great and all, don't get me wrong, it was awesome, it did come with a bit of a learning curve for me. One of them being the early morning practices. Something I haven't mentioned yet about the private school I went to was, well, it may have been a half-hour drive from my house. And while we did have after-school dance practices, we had to practice with the school band because we had our halftime routines together. And when did we practice in the band? You guessed it, 7 in the frickin' a.m. So, before the sun even rose, I had to get ready and in the car by 6 or 6:30 in the morning so I could get to our morning practice. We'd get changed and practice on the football field for 30 to 45 minutes with the band. To be completely honest, I was already a morning person at this point and I didn't care too much. I just felt bad for the band kids. While our dance coach was strict, yes, let's just say the band director, he took it to a whole nother level. Our dance coach would make sure our formation was correct and would let us know if it wasn't sure. But the main difference, the really big difference, was she didn't scream at us like a crazy person. I remember just staring at the ground while I listened to the band director tear those middle and high school band kids a new one. I don't know if that band director needed a cup of coffee or a real reality check. Probably a bit of both if we're being completely transparent. So that's what we did for football games in the fall. But what about the winter? Well, let's talk about our dance competitions. During the fall, our dance team would perform at halftime during the football games. But what we were really practicing for was our yearly dance competition in the upcoming January. In these competitions, we'd compete with dance teams from all across the state. So, yeah, it was a pretty big deal. Not only that, we had 3 dance routines that we had to memorize and execute to the best of our ability, all before the competition in January. Needless to say, it was a lot. So, in between preparing for halftime routines and football games, my teammates and I would be preparing and practicing our butts off for these competitions. And thank God for our dance coach, because she knew exactly how to help us learn those routines and also how to do it in the most effective way possible. So here are some of the things that I really remember helped me learn the routines. 1. Learning the routines in parts. If I had to learn the whole routine in one practice, I think my brain would short circuit. I think I'd get overwhelmed. Nailed it. This is actually something that's used in the field of education to this day, called chunking. When the teacher looks at the concept as a whole, then breaks it down to smaller, easier to understand pieces. 2. Using mirrors. Our dance studio had mirrors all around, but even if you don't have mirrors and you're trying to teach someone to dance, a good tip is to turn your back to them and show them the steps like that. This way, the people learning the dance don't have to constantly remember and remind themselves to move the opposite way the instructor does. And 3, self-evaluation. If you keep getting told that what you're doing is incorrect without seeing what you're doing wrong, it'll drive you crazy. Just crazy. Something we did as a class was we would watch recordings of our performances and grade ourselves as a whole, like things like technique, timing, formation, that kind of thing. This way, we'd actually see what went well and what needed improvement. And luckily, all our hard work ended up paying off big time, because my senior year of high school, we brought home the gold. That's right, first place in the dance division that January. And if you're in Canada, I'm pretty sure you heard our high-pitched screams of joy. Sorry about that. Were we sweating like crazy? Yes. Did we want to pass out from exhaustion? Also yes. Did we have the songs we danced to stuck in our heads on repeat for the next 5 years? Yeah. Give me a quick second. I had a point here. Oh, looking back at the competitions, football games, and dance practices before and after that victory, I honestly don't regret anything. Even if we didn't win all those times before, dance was still a pretty big part of my life. If the transition from cheer to dance and those 5 wonderful years that came after taught me anything, it's that sometimes what you think will work out just sometimes doesn't. But you have to learn to be okay with that. Because somewhere down the line, you'll find something that's better than you can ever imagine, if you'll just take that leap of faith. And that's a wrap for this video. A special thank you to my Patreon members. You guys are the best. Thank you for supporting me in the making my webcomic Outcasts and my artistic journey. Just a reminder, if you'd like to see more art like this or want to learn more about my webcomic, you can check it out on Tapas and come join my Patreon for exclusive content. Joining my Patreon gets you exclusive content, early access to Outcast comic pages and YouTube videos, and lots of other cool stuff. Links to both of those are in the description below. So keep creating, Merry Christmas, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!